we understand the summit meeting between China and EU will take place very soon. And there is a lot of expectation on China EU summit meeting. Why? Because after all, China and EU used to be the two largest trading partners of each other. I think there are many technical difficulties which need to be talked about or even solved because I think EU follows the American leadership very much, while it also emphasizes the need to cooperate with China. It still views China as a strategic rival, whereas from the Chinese perspective, China looks at EU just as EU and is very eager and committed to cooperate with EU in all respects. And China does not view EU as a competitor or a rival or an antagonist or as an enemy. So there are major differences in how the two sides view each other, and the summit meeting hopefully will contribute to promoting better understanding of each other, better communication of each other, mutual trust, and focusing China-EU relations on really what matters. I do believe that in between China and EU, there are no matters of fundamental strategic competition or rivalry or confrontation. We are so far away. For example, we are not land neighbors or maritime neighbors, and we do not have any territorial dispute between China and EU. And philosophically speaking, we value our own traditions, we have our own history, and we do not need to try to impose our system onto you or your system onto us. Economically speaking, of course, EU has its own advantages and strengths. China has our advantages and strengths, but economic cooperation, exchange, etc. I hope, but they will eventually also come to terms that China is a fact. China is a real phenomenon, and EU should not be a factor making tensions, if any, between China and the United States. EU can be a go-between, a great conciliator, a great communicator between China and the United States, try to bring China and the United States closer rather than driving them further apart from each other. And I think between China and EU and the United States, there should be always a major promotion of the inevitability of peace between China and the United States. EU should always remain independent strategically rather than being subjugated to any country, either politically or economically. And EU will always be able to keep its sanity, keep its rationality, keep its own independent view of the world, and will be a major force promoting peace rather than becoming a force agitating for war. That will make Europe a much greater Europe, a EU a much greater EU,